What is up, guys? So last week I made a video going over the 12th episode of Season 3 of Black Lightning. I decided to make that video even though I haven't made a Black Lightning video in a very, very long time. Because I thought that, well, first because I only recently got caught back up with Black Lightning, but also because I thought what was happening in the season was really interesting, that they're bringing together the Outsiders. I made the video, didn't really expect it to do very well, and it actually got a good, decent amount of views. And because of that, I decided that I probably, if this is going to keep up, I will do this every week for even Black Lightning. So in this video, I'll be going over every retcon from the Crisis, which there is one very big one, every reference, and maybe certain parts of the episode that I want to talk about, and I'll do all of that in this video. So with that in mind, let's begin. So the very first scene actually gives us the most to talk about in terms of the entire episode, in terms of post-crisis changes or references or things like that, as the very first scene has a very, very big retcon. In this scene, Jefferson is drunkenly talking to Peter Gamby about Lynn Stewart since they're about to go out to save her from Markovia, and he's actually also talking about when he originally became Black Lightning. He mentions the name Black Lightning, says that he never liked that name and he didn't actually pick it out, but the media did, and he says, and this is very, very telling, this is very, very different. He says that he got the name Black Lightning 22 years ago, which means that Jefferson became Black Lightning in the year 1998, which is drastically different from the previous timeline in Black Lightning's universe, which is Earth TUD5, or Earth Temporary Universe Designation 5. He didn't become Black Lightning until the year 2005, which is 7 years after he would have on Earth Prime, or it's confirmed now that he became on Earth Prime. Then he was Black Lightning for 4 years and quit in 2009, so he had 4 years of experience before coming back in 2018, which means as a whole now he has 6 years, or he would have, on Earth TUD5. However, in this new universe, he became Black Lightning 7 years before he did on Earth TUD5, which means that he doesn't only have 6 years of experience, he has 13 years, which makes him one of the most experienced superheroes. In the Arrowverse, I mean, Oliver Queen, he was stranded on Alien in the year 2007, then he died in the year 2020, so that's a 13-year vigilante career. And Black Lightning, he became Black Lightning in 1998, and he quit in 2009, so that's 11 years. And then he came back in the year 2018, that's till 2020, that's 13 total years of Black Lightning's vigilante career. And this is under the assumption that he also quit here in the year 2009, which I do think that, at least now, for now, we can assume that he did. So with all that put together, he's one of the most experienced superheroes in the entirety of the Arrowverse. The other contenders for experienced superheroes would be obviously Green Arrow, but also Superman, who it seems like maybe even became a superhero after Black Lightning, but he never quit for like this 9-year period, so he does have more experience. And then also Batman, who did quit in the year 2015, but that was all those years where he never quit, or at least we can assume he never did. So Black Lightning is up there as one of the most experienced heroes in the Arrowverse, and quite possibly the earliest hero, since for Superman and Batman, we know they became heroes before the year 2003, and we don't know at all like how long before then. And for Batman, it could have been years. For Superman, it could have been like a month or something. We have no idea. So for now, I think that we can assume that Black Lightning was at least on par with Superman and Batman for how early he became a hero. But in terms of experience, he's not as experienced as Superman or Batman, but he is certainly up there as one of the most experienced superheroes. But with this retcon in mind, it does bring up the question of what was the point of this? Like, why add these years to Black Lightning's career? What's the problem with him debuting in the year 2005, which is way before almost all the other heroes in the Arrowverse, and then have the same timeline that he had before? The only thing I could think of is that there's going to be a storyline coming forward that had to have him be a hero before the year 2005, because other than that, honestly, I think it might have just been a mistake. Honestly, I just think that they put it in, they didn't even think about the timeline, anything that they previously implemented, and they got lucky in the fact that this plot hole just was mentioned in an episode after the Crisis. Now, I know I'm not giving them a lot of credit here. I'm sure that they do all of that, but the reason I'm mentioning this is because I can't think of a single reason why they added these extra 7 years to Black Lightning's career. The only one that I can maybe think about, but it doesn't really make much sense, is that they made it so that he debuted in the year 2005 to make him one of the earliest heroes in the Arrowverse, so when they eventually become into the Arrowverse. He debuts in the year 2005. He became a hero way before Green Arrow and the Flash and all those characters, but ever since then, they confirmed that Batman was before 2005. They confirmed that Superman was before 2005, although they already knew that before. But anyway, the point is, maybe they just wanted to make Black Lightning one of the earliest heroes. Maybe they wanted to make him the earliest hero in the Arrowverse, but now that Batman and I guess maybe Superman was before him, they had to change it. Honestly, it doesn't make any sense. It's kind of stupid, and other than that, or the fact that it was just a plot hole they got lucky with that came after the crisis, or that there's going to be a storyline coming forward, I honestly cannot tell you why they would make this change. So later in the episode, we get the introduction of a villain named Gravedigger, who is a DC villain, so that's a character they're introducing here. But in his debut scene, he came down with a presidential order from Markovia so that he can take over the whole operation with Helga Chase and Lynn Stewart. Now, the reason this is significant is because Markovia should not have a president. Markovia is supposed to be a monarchy with the Marcos, and obviously the son and daughter of the king and queen are Brion Markov and Tara Markov, which are Geoforce and Terra. Now, it's pretty clear that they were going away from Geoforce because the character of Brandon is basically the substitute, and he is very, very different. But this also means that they're even stepping away from Markovia, or the comic accurate version of Markovia, even more, since Markovia does not have a monarchy. It has maybe a democracy with a president, which means that, I don't know, maybe the president is a version of Brion Markov's father or something, or maybe his mother even. But because there's no monarchy, it means that he's not the prince, and he will never become the king of anything. So, like, that storyline can't really be there. It's definitely very different from the comics, and I don't really understand why they did it. I mean, they probably, like I said in my last video, had all the rights to all of these characters. They had the ability to use Geoforce and maybe even Terra and the whole comic accurate version of that country, but instead they don't use Geoforce, which again, I don't mind Brandon. I think he's a very interesting and likable character, but I just don't understand why they went away from Geoforce, and now they're making it so that Markovia is a democracy instead of a monarchy, which is drastically different from the comics. So the last episode saw the formation of the Outsiders with characters like Black Lightning, Thunder Lightning, a version of Geoforce, a version of Freight Train, Technocrat, Peter Gamby, Gardner Grail, and Sarah Gray. But this episode saw the inclusion of yet another character. Like they formed in the last episode, they set up to go on a mission, but before they can, they recruited yet another character. This character is Khalil Payne, aka Painkiller. Now, Painkiller is a DC comic character. He's a Black Lightning villain, and he's never been a member of the Outsiders, which he has in common with Lightning from this team, which works because those two characters are very, very connected. The reason Painkiller was never a member of the Outsiders is because he was a villain, but not only that, he was actually a very, very short-lived villain, only appearing in 3 issues and then dying in the third issue he appeared in. He ended up having a much bigger role on the Black Lightning TV show than he ever had in the comics, and now he's even a member of the Outsiders, which again, very different from the comics since he's a villain and never been a member of the Outsiders, but he is here, which is a thing that I don't mind at all. I think is a very likable character. I think they could do a lot with this character. I think that the actor is very good also. So even though he's a villain in the comics, I don't mind him becoming a hero. Actually, he was never really that much of a villain on this show, other than the time recently where he was completely brainwashed. So I do think that what's going on here is interesting, but the reason I'm mentioning this is because this is another hero of sorts joining the Outsiders. And finally, we get to the actual Markovian mission. It did take a while. There was like 20 minutes of deliberation and training and setup. Then there was the 10 minutes on the plane ride. But finally, we did get to the last 10 minutes of the episode, which I'm mentioning here because it is the first time the Outsiders ever team up in the Arrowverse, which is a big deal. Like, yes, there is the founding of the team, but they've never actually teamed up before. They've never fought anybody together before. It'd be like the Justice League, who have technically, I mean, all the crossovers feel like Justice Leagues, or at least most of them do, but the actual Justice League teamed up, again, not named, but still, they teamed up at the end of the crisis. But it's another thing for them to actually go out and go on a mission together. They haven't done that yet, so this is a significant thing because, yes, they found it in the last episode, but this is the first time they ever team up, and I gotta say, it's really, really exciting. All these characters all, like, fighting the Markovians together. It's really well choreographed. It's very intense. There's a lot of great scenes here. Honestly, it's probably the best 10 10 minutes of Black Lightning ever, which, yes, isn't really saying much. I don't think this is an amazing TV show. I do think that they've never really hit all that many highs, but I do think these last 10 minutes, it really feels like Black Lightning may be finally finding its stride in The Outsiders. I really think that they can go deep into that team with all these missions. Maybe they could bring in Katana, Metamorpho, all those other Outsiders characters, but for now, I do think that this is really, really exciting, and I want to mention it here because it's the first time the Outsiders ever come together, but also it's really, really good. So anyway, that's the breakdown for this episode. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below on everything I talked about. The main thing is the timeline change. Like, what do you think about the fact that they did it? Why do you think they did it? And in universe, how do you think it happened? Then there's like the new character that joined the Outsiders, the fact that the Outsiders teamed up for the first time, and maybe the changes to Markovia. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you like this video, make sure to leave a like, share, and subscribe. And also stay tuned for tomorrow, where I will post my breakdown of The Flash, and if there's anything from it, Legends of Tomorrow as well. And as always, thanks for watching.